What's up, horse racing fans? Welcome to the Inside Post and a weekend episode for a Kentucky Derby prep. We go to Turfway Park on March 22nd for race 12. We have the Grade 3 Jeff Ruby Stakes for Kentucky Derby points. Pretty good field of what looks to be maybe 12 or 11 horses, depending on if we have some scratches. But all running a mile and an eighth to try to pick up some Derby points and pretty much set themselves up to enter the gate for the Kentucky Derby. So we're going to go through the field, give you our best bet. Next up, contender and one long shot play. Like always on the channel, so make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below your pick for the Jeff Ruby Stakes. All right, off on the rail, we have number 1, Calling Card. Mike Maka, Adam Beschizza, owned by 3 Diamond Farms. Sired by Complexity in here, $70,000 purchase. One that came out of the Gotham and the LeCompte. Really not a whole lot to really show for this horse that's been nominated for Triple Crown races, but may need to be a horse that either goes back to turf or needs to try going a little bit shorter. Unsuccessful at a mile, unsuccessful at a mile and a 16th as well. 7th and 8th in his last 2 starts. We'll get a jockey switch up with the Biscuit aboard in here. I just think it's going to be a tough go yet again, unless they try to do something a little bit different. Looks like the horse kind of has some trouble getting out of the gate, possibly. The rail could be an issue in here as well. There's going to be some speed to the outside of this horse. For sure. I just think it's going to be one that's going to maybe run into some trouble and run into some definitely better horses that are to the outside. And a horse that's really not really showed much, but it's Turfway Park, and that's usually where winners come from. Horses that don't usually do much in their previous 5 or 6 starts, and then they blow the field away. But this is a different type of race. This is a grade stakes race with Derby implications on the line. Number 2, Charlie's to blame, 15-1 for Peter Yurton. JJ Hernandez will get the mount in here. Comes out of the Kitten's Joy on turf. Switching it up. Not really switching it up. We see a lot of horses that come from turf that go to this synthetic at Turfway and perform really well. So this one comes up from Gulfstream Park after shipping here from Del Mar and Santa Anita. And it's done really well on some lower level races. The Kitten's Joy was a $150,000 stakes race. And then breaking the maiden at the $57,000 level. However, both on turf. So I think this one should adjust well to the synthetic. We'll go a little bit further on the distance in here, as these horses will be going a mile and an eighth. So we'll see if the adjustment fits this one. I'm definitely going to be interesting. This is a big purchase, $400,000. I just think they're trying to get this horse possibly in the gate at the Derby. And this is a good spot just running on synthetic at a pretty good price of currently 15-1. This one definitely could be an early pace player in here. Has some early speed with Hernandez in the in the irons. I mean, has had Saez in the irons before, and he's always an early type jockey to get horses out of the gate quick. I think this one should be able to get the lead early. And Turfway has been kind of favoring early speed horses, so this one can hold true in that turf to synthetic form, kind of holds up. This one could be dangerous at 15-1. Again, coming from the turf, likes to run on the front end, and I think the horse should adjust really well coming in on this type synthetic type of track. Number 3, California Burrito. Currently, maybe the morning line favorite. Second choice, maybe go post-time favorite in here. Winner of the John Battaglia, so that's kind of like a prep for the Jeff Ruby Stakes if you're unfamiliar with Turfway. Won that kind of in really good fashion in there, beat out Baby Max and Maximum Promise, who's also in here, and did it going wire to wire. So we'll see if California Burrito is able to go in that type of route. Yet again, trying to wire the field in here. I think he's definitely going to have some other competitors and other speed horses that are just not going to let him go out and get that lead and be able to wire this field. I think he's going to have a little bit more challenge in here. He's going to go a little bit further, a mile and an eighth compared to his mile and a 16th. But he handled that mile and a 16th really well. So we'll see what he's able to do in here against some other horses that have some pretty good graded stakes class. 4, Final Gambit, Brad Cox. This is a beautiful gray horse. Luan Machado will get the mount in here. This is owned by Judemont Farms. A really good value play, 6-1 for this Cox horse. Broke its maiden at Turfway Park at the $80,000 level February 15th. In there, beat out some smaller class horses. Was pretty favorited in his last 2. So comes in with some slower speeds. Hasn't really went over a mile. Comes from the turf as well. So this will be the 3rd start on synthetic for Final Gambit. I think we're getting 6-1 on this horse just because of Brad Cox and Luan Machado. And the horse was heavily bet in that last outing when the horse broke its maiden. Definitely going to step into some class of horses in here, but this horse is nominated for Triple Crown races, so definitely going to be interesting to see how well this one runs, to see if it holds up to its odds, and to see if the connections of Judemont and Brad Cox know what they're doing by keeping this horse here. Usually we see a couple other Brad Cox horses in here, so for him to only have one, this one may be the one, one of his better ones that he wants to run on the synthetic. 5, Flying Mohawk for Whit Beckman. This one is a Caraconte colt. $72,000 purchase in here. Jose Ramos will get the mount on this one. Comes out at an optional claimer. Big speed figure, however, 82 speed figure, kind of higher than some of the other horses. Broke its maiden at the 123 level at Churchill Downs. Ran 5th in the Pilgrim. All these races that this horse has ran have been on turf. So one that we'll have to see if that form can transfer to the synthetic, which usually it will. But if you're kind of the form player of the synthetic to, or the turf to the synthetic, Flying Mohawk, it could be flying under the radar at 15-1, coming into a race where we see some horses really take to the synthetic from the turf and kind of run a little bit faster. So this one could be very interesting. As I said, the last 2 speed figures look really good compared to some of the others in here. On the higher side of things. 6, Baby Max, another one that comes out of the Battaglia, 91 speed figure in there behind California Burrito and just ahead of Maximum Promise. Just was not able to get to California Burrito that day. Set off the pace in there, probably going to do the same thing. In here does have a little bit of late speed or off the pace type runner. Winner of the Leonidas, another kind of prep for this race. With Abel Cedillo aboard, so we'll get Abel back aboard on this one. So I think this one has some value just because we get blinkers on. We get a jockey that's familiar with the horse and that has won on the horse. And that last workout back on March 12th looks pretty phenomenal. 4 furlongs and 48-1 was the fastest out of 26 that day. So Baby Max looks to be training really well. Comes in here, off of the 2 races that kind of lead up to the Jeff Ruby Stakes. So this one's kind of been on the radar for the connections to keep this horse here at Turfway and to point to this Jeff Ruby to try to pick up those Kentucky Derby points. So 5-1, great value currently on Baby Max. 7, Long Shot, Giacosa, Keith DeSormo, Jaime Torres will get them out on this one. Comes out of the Risen Star, just a bad Risen Star in there. Maybe a horse that's going to go better on the turf. We'll see how this horse takes to the synthetic. I think it's going to struggle. The speed figures look a little bit slower than some of the other competitors in here. The last workout wasn't too bad, however. I think it went 5 furlongs in a minute. 3rd fastest on the day out of 41, but it's just going to come in here off a pretty decent size layoff. About a month or 40 days maybe. I just don't know if the horse is going to be able to adjust. If you look, the horse was favorited in the Bourbon at Keeneland and finished 6th in there. So really has struggled recently to kind of hit the board in a big time race. So this one definitely going to be a long shot on the board. Number 8, Innovator, D. Wayne Lucas, the man. Nick Juarez will get the mount in here. Yes, this one is sired by Authentic, a big old $900,000 purchase. 9-1 so far in the career. So like we see a lot of Dwayne Lucas horses, heavily ran going into their 3-year-old season. The speed on the front end is what can win this horse the race. Huge early speed numbers of 124 right now. One that needs the lead to be dangerous in here. And is probably going to be one that's going to contend for the lead on the outside of maybe number 2. But definitely going to have some other horses to run against. I think the class of this horse is probably the best. Coming in outside of possibly Poster, Maximum Promise, and Baby Max. But definitely one that's ran into some really good horses in Coal Battle, Matticat Road, Sandman, Disco Time, Chancher McPatrick, Barnes, again, Owen Almighty, Sandman yet again, just has ran with some really good horses. And if you look at it, we're 9-1-4, so a lot of second place finishes for this horse. But the Rebel, very disappointing. Not sure if it was just quickly ran back because it ran January 18th to February 23rd, so a quick turnaround. So it does get a little bit of time off, but nothing to wow. This is typical Dwayne Lucas style of running horses back fairly quick. At 15-1, though, the class of this horse looks pretty phenomenal. And especially to be one that could possibly hit the board or that's going to run away with the field with this early type speed. Poster, currently 3-1, so maybe that second or morning line post time favorite in here. Ewan Horty, yes, we get Johnny Velasquez to come in from wherever he has been. He's coming into Turfway Park for the weekend, so that's phenomenal for the track to see. Horse is 4-3. Lifetime has only beat out by John Hancock and Owen Almighty, so those two horses kind of ran back really well, especially Owen Almighty last week in his Derby prep. So I think Poster runs big here, rightfully so, on the 3-1 morning line. The Go Dolphin known, holy cow, do they have a slew of horses already in the gate for the Derby? Why not add one more and pick up a win here? Rightfully so, the horse has kind of been all over Ellis, Keeneland, Aqueduct, Tampa, now at Turfway Park. So we'll see if it's able to get some Derby points to kind of solidify itself into that gate for Go Dolphin. Did come out of the Remsen winner in there, looked really good in there, and then we kind of had a big layoff. Seen the horse in the Sam F. Davis, just wasn't its day. Ran into a really good John Hancock and Owen Almighty. John Hancock, I believe, in the Louisiana Derby on the same day, so we'll see how these two horses fare coming out of that Sam F. Davis. 10, Maximum Promise, Kenny McPeak, Frankie Dettori also coming into Turfway Park. This is the one that finished third behind California Burrito and Baby Max in the John Battaglia. Got an 80 speed figure in there. Did have Luan Machado aboard, so he's jumping off and sticking with the Brad Cox horse. This one picks up Frankie Dettori. Comes out of LeCompte, another Derby prep in there, finishing, where to go? 5th behind Disco Time, Built, and Innovator. So has some class in the past two races. I think the speed figures are a little bit off. This one's going to come from off the pace a little bit in here. And if we have fast fractions like Poster could possibly set, or not Poster, but Innovator could possibly set, this one could have some pace to run into. 5-1 currently, so that's kind of interesting value spot for this horse. Just because it's been a while since it's won at the $68,000 level, and is going to run back against some horses that have already beat it. Number 11, Curvino, Peter Miller, Gerardo Corrales, another pretty heavily raced, 9 starts, 1 win, 20-1, big time price in here out of Vino Rosso. We'll see if this one can ship in. I think it comes from Oaklawn Park. So again, another one that's kind of struggled finding its way, has been up and down on the side of the poll, if it's been first, second, or third. Has ran against Journalism, probably was the best race or the best class that this horse has ran into, but did finish a disappointing 5th that day. Tried to come from off the pace. We'll probably see this one try to come from off the pace yet again, and it's just going to be difficult. There's a lot of speed early, and I think that this one could kind of find itself kind of buried deep in the pack. Number 12, He's Not Joking, Hosey Carroll. I believe this is Raul Hernandez, possibly Ralph Hernandez, sorry. Comes out of the Holy Bull, finished 5th in there. The Kentucky Jockey Club finished 8th. So it does have two pretty good races, but just really did not do much in those races. Currently 15-1, 6-2 lifetime. Let's see, grade Woodbine, grade 3 gray stakes race. So it's been on the synthetic, has won on the synthetic. So we could see this horse kind of pick up from a 5th or 8th place finish because it is going back to synthetic, and that's where the horse may be comfortable with or has won on the synthetic before. Woodbine synthetic, Turfway synthetic, a little bit different. But this one, 15-1, comes into some pretty good class horses. Again, another one that's kind of going to be off the pace or sitting outside the pace and going to have to run down the speedsters late. And also eligible to take note of is a Todd Pletcher horse in here in Candy Town. Johnny Velasquez is scheduled to get the mount, but he is on another horse, so this one could have a jockey change. This is owned by Calumet Farms. Just breaking its maiden, or has not broke its maiden, sorry, but has been running in the $75,000 and $34,000 level. Very interesting. The workouts look phenomenal on this horse. Been the first fastest in each of the last 4 or 5 workouts that this horse has been put in. So just take note of this one at 20-1. If this horse draws in, could be a sneaky pick. Definitely from the outside with a little bit of early speed and just now making its 3rd start. So obviously, if you've hung around, you're waiting for our top pick in here. It's going to be number 9 in Poster. The Go Dolphin horses seem to be running really well, especially outside the Sam F. Davis. We saw Owen Almighty, what he was able to do in his Derby prep, picking up a win. I think Poster kind of does the same thing in here and runs really big for Ewan Horty. Johnny Velasquez is the man. He knows what to do in these type of big races. So I think we'll see a big race from Poster in here. The speed coming from off the pace, I don't think the horse will bury itself very much. I think the horse will stay a little bit closer than what he's used to or what he's been doing in the past. I think we'll see kind of what he did in that allowance race or possibly even in the Remsen where he was in that 5th pat or even the 4 spot and was able to make a pretty good move into the turn. Next up is going to be Baby Max. So kind of going away from the other in here in California Burrito. Kelsey Danner with Abel Cedillo. I kind of like Cedillo getting back aboard this horse. I think in the Battaglia, he just let California Burrito get away. And he just cannot do that. They cannot let a horse go wire to wire in here and kind of be a spoiler. I think Baby Max will change things up a little bit, sit a little bit closer, keep a close eye on California Burrito, who I don't see getting the lead as easily as he did in the Battaglia, giving Baby Max a pretty good advantage at 5-1. Like I said, they've been aiming for this race for quite some time. So those other two could have possibly just been tune-ups. And here he is sitting on probably one of his better races. We see blinkers come on. We get 5-1 currently on this horse, which is great value on a horse that's been kind of training well at Turfway and running well at Turfway as well. And couple long shot considerations in here. Innovator is very interesting with his speed out early. We've seen Dwayne Lucas send these speedsters out and they end up wiring the field. The Rebel, though, finishing 12th was a little bit disappointing. So we'll see if we just get a little bit of a rebound in there. But if this horse gets out to the lead, it's crazy what we've been able to see on horses stealing, going wire to wire. So at 15-1, definitely interesting for number 8, Innovator. And the other one, obviously, like I talked about, number 13, Candy Town, if the horse draws in, could be dangerous. But going back to the inside, another early speed horse, Charlie's to blame for Peter Yurton and JJ Hernandez. Both of these guys coming here from their West Coast affiliations, bringing this horse into Turfway on the East Coast or even the Midwest is very interesting. One that's been on turf that's going to try the synthetic for the first time. And I think this one's very, very sneaky at 15-1 with some really good speed figures, some really good workouts. Has been at Turfway training for some time. So I think this one definitely is going to have a big race. And at 15-1, very interesting on this one just because it's Turfway Park. Things get crazy. The trifecta could pay. The exacta could pay. Even a winner could sneak up there and pay outside of these top 4 horses that are, 5-1 or less. So this one looks really good on paper. We'll see if the transition from turf to synthetic kind of holds true. But as we said, number 9, Poster, going to be our top pick with these other horses underneath. And that's our picks for the Jeff Ruby Stakes. So, thank you for watching. Make sure to leave a comment down below your pick for the Jeff Ruby Stakes or any Kentucky Derby preps for the weekend. Hopefully you win big, and good luck.